what is meant by conflict of interest. Illustrate with examples the difference between actual and potential conflict of interest. This was a very interesting question. So I started with actually, since it's asked what is meant. See, I felt what is meant means they don't want a very hardcore definition. They just want to understand what do you mean by conflict of interest. So I explained it in my own words that when there could be a conflict between a personal interest and a public official interest, then a conflict of interest might arise. In a little bit of paragraph, I think 4 to 5 lines, I tried to open up this concept of conflict of interest. And then the major part of the answer was again divided into 2 subparts, illustrating the difference between actual and potential conflict of interest. So one example that I could make up, examples is something that I think we should be working on at our home itself, because conflict of interest is something really general. It could be as it's mentioned in the syllabus also. So potential conflict of interest means I felt I gave an example that if a lady or a person who is a government employee, he might be getting a chance to work as an election officer in a particular area, but he is in a position that he has to decide and say yes or whether or not he'll continue to work in that area. Now the personal position is that he has his own younger brother who's contesting for the election in that particular area. So if he gets the charge of that, then it is a potential conflict of interest. If he gets a charge, then it's a potential conflict of interest that some allegations could come that he's favoring his brother. So this is a potential conflict of interest I felt here. And then for actual conflict of interest, I used another example that kind of a conflict of interest between your personal end and your public end. For example, a lady is in charge of the admissions, and she's an officer or a teacher in a college, and she's also entrusted with the admission, and her daughter herself wants to get an admission. So and then if she is actually signing on that document that yes, she'll be getting admission on some basis which are not clear, then it's actual conflict of interest, and that needs to be taken care of. I think when we talk about conflict of interest in the introduction, then I also mentioned a little bit of difference between what is actual and what is a potential, and then I substantiated it with examples. Coming to part B, now this is a quotation. In looking for a people to hire, you look for 3 qualities: integrity, intelligence, and energy. And if they do not have the first, the other 2 will kill you. That's what Warren Buffett said. The question is, what do you understand by this statement in the present day scenario, and explain. Okay, so I felt okay, this is a question where a quote is being given to you and you have to explain it in your own words in the present context. I noted the term present day scenario. What do you understand in present day scenario? So what I felt, hiring and entrepreneurship and all of this employment is something very much in news right now. But here the focus of the question is on 3 words: integrity, intelligence, and energy. Then I tried to explain that while a person is being hired as a part of a company, these 3 qualities are important. But I tried to conceptualize how having the third one only and not having the other 2 can ruin the organization. Then I substantiated. For example, if a person has immense energy and he has a lot of hunger to climb up the steps or the ladder of the organization's hierarchy, then in that case he will take some dishonest means to do it. He might involve himself into a bribery, or maybe he might involve himself into nepotism or corruption. I was also reminded of sexual harassment at workplace, and I felt that maybe if a person does not have integrity and he has a lot of things like he's a lot of intelligence, he's having energy, if he doesn't have integrity, then he may involve himself in certain activities like that. For example, asking favors, asking sexual favors, that's one part of the organization. So I just tried to open up different examples of how not having integrity but having intelligence and energy could ruin the organization and the person in general, not only the person who's hiring but also the organization in general.